And you're very welcome along to Off the Brawl here on Off the Ball. I'm Ronan Mullen, joined as ever by Phil Egan. Happy 2020, Phil.
It's the first one of the year, isn't it?
First one.
Jeez. What were we doing last week?
I don't know. It's been a quiet start to the boxing year, but not anymore because we've got someone in the studio who has a big January. It's a friend of the show, Luke Keeler. Luke, how are you?
Good, yeah, great. Going really well. I'm not having the best camp I ever had, you know, so touch wood, it continues.
Yeah, and you were sparring today?
Yeah, I just rushed in. I was a small bit late, but yeah, everything's gone perfect. I'm putting my body through it. I had a really long camp, but I'm feeling fresh as well, you know, like I took a break. Like there was talk of a fight in December with Andrade, and then there was talk of a fight actually against Murata in Japan. Then Stephen Butler, who was the WBO #1, he took that fight. So it was between me and Butler for that fight in Japan. The end of December. Then Andrade came back on then after he took the Murata fight. So it's kind of been a long kind of camp. I took like a week and a half off after the Falls Park show, and just went straight back in and proving in the gym. I knew, you know what, after the Falls Park, I wanted a big fight. I didn't want another step up. I felt like I wanted a world title next. But I also knew I made a lot of mistakes in that fight. Even though I dominated a guy that fought for a world title, I knew I made mistakes, and we went back, and literally since that fight, we've been working on things, and it's going really great, you know.
And mistakes, what mistakes would you say you made?
Just me hand position wasn't as tight as it needed to be. You know, at like elite war level, like them little mistakes was caught clean 4 or 5 times. That you can't make them mistakes, you know, at the next level in order to win a world title. So I've been working on that and a few other little things. Just get me jab going and just boxing really, you know.
Yeah, and you were signed on to fight on an MTK show in the winter time, weren't you? Was it Glasgow or? Yeah,
it was Glasgow. Yeah, there was talk of a fight in Glasgow, and then the Murata fight came through. It would have been a bit of a risk, and even an Andrade fight was in talks. But until it's actually signed, it's hard to be sure of it. But I had it in my head. I actually pulled the plug on the Scottish show. They were eager for me to keep busy. Like they probably were aware they could fall through and just keep me busy, but I had it in my head. It's hard to kind of get up for them fights and injuries. I just had it in my head that I was going to be fighting for a world title, and it came about, you know.
And he's mentioned the Falls Park show, Phil, and that was a great occasion, and Michael Conlon was the headliner, but that Luke's fight always felt like the most competitive fight on the card, and it was a cracker in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're always the entertainer, and I think since the first time you came in with us, you know, you were just coming back from you were saying you had a few injury problems, but you're on a steady progression. So this is the world title shot now. And what was it like over Christmas? Obviously you have to scale it back. No gravy on your turkey, that kind of thing.
It was a bland Christmas dinner. But I just kept training since that fight.
Yeah.
Like I love training with P, you know, because I'm learning, and like it didn't feel like a chore. I'm really enjoying it. Like I enjoyed this camp, the build-up. He actually said it to me about. He was actually speaking about the build-up for the Olympics with Katie. They put so much pressure on themselves that he didn't enjoy it, and he made that apparent to me. He says it's important to enjoy the camp nearly, and even going out to Miami and enjoy, just soak up everything. So we've done that in this camp. We've done everything right. Grueling camp, but my body's out responding well, and thank God, you know, I'm fitter than I ever was, you know, that kind of way, no niggles, and it just, to me, it feels like it's time, everything is spot on time, and everything is really rolling for me to pull off the upset, you know.
You're making up for lost time because you were part-time and it was hard to juggle everything, but now you're full-time. You've said, you can even see it, like when, like, just how the shape of your body, even you're better shape as well. So is that actually an advantage now? There's maybe some boxers can overtrain. Would have had grueling camps throughout the years, and maybe when they get into their 30s, it takes its toll.
Yeah, I mentioned that a couple of times in like previous interviews. I've seen with a couple of guys, them like elite, even the elite amateurs, the Eastern European camps, like it's grueling sparring on that high performance alone. Never mind, like I see it in Andrade. He's a year younger than me, but he's 10 years a pro and he looks old. You know, I really feel fresh. You know, that kind of way. So I do think it's an advantage. All these little things are kind of balancing the scales, I think. Like I had 4 or 5 years as a pro where I worked full time and I trained 4 or 5 times a week. Trained hard during them times, but it's no comparison to putting your body through them camps for so many years, and it does catch up with fighters, you know.
Yeah, and even you were saying about the hand placement in your last fight. How many sessions does it take to get that? And is there times through sparring where your body starts to feel weary and some of those habits start creeping back in?
Yeah, you revert to old when you get tired, or you do actually just go in like to your subconscious and make mistakes, you know, that kind of way. So Pete is just constantly, I probably frustrate the life out of him, but he's just hammering down, and he said it to me at the start of this camp. He says, I'm going to be dogging you this time, like there's no way, you can't be your friend, you know, that kind of way. He says, don't be put off by, I'm going to be dogging you now about these mistakes. You can't be just nice about it, because I was making them mistakes, and I had a good spar today. I've listened to him, and when I do listen to him, everything works, you know. So it's great having that just confidence and trust, and just that bit. That's how I built in the last 3 fights. But I literally you can really just zone in when you go back to the corner and listen, and it's working, you know.
Yeah, and the Arias fight. So I was up there with Andy Lee. He was working on the TV, and I was ringside as well, and like, it was a special fight, like there's no two ways about it, and probably the best win by an Irish middleweight since Andy Lee himself won the world title, and Andy said the best win by a Dublin fighter since Bernard Dunn won the world title. So that's the kind of era we're talking about here. Did you realise when you were in that fight that it was that kind of fight, or were you just thinking, I have to stick to the tactics here? Because it kind of went the way a lot of your fights go, where you hurt him early, put him down, you tried to jump in and finish it, and then maybe had to step off the gas a little bit. Yeah,
like it was... I felt I enjoyed it, to be honest. It felt like a good fight in there. I didn't feel trouble once or under any... I didn't have any doubts in there at all. Like, before, I'm getting fitter each camp. And even since that fight, I'm getting so much fitter. My recovery, like we use heart rate monitors, and I couldn't run before the last fight, a bit of a back trouble. And it was just, when the lads were doing the sprint sessions, always on a step up. But this camp I'm having, like, we do 2 savage sprint sessions. You're probably seeing clips of them. And my recovery is just straight back down to like green zone nearly in between rounds. So it's just that bringing a lot of confidence, you know, in that. So I won't dip this time. See that little dip and lull? I can't afford to do that against a world-class operator like Andrade. So you're not going to see that. And that was one of the things we've worked on, was just stepping up again in terms of that condition. Yeah, it was a good fight. He was crafty, like he had good feints, and he caught me clean a few times, but he didn't trouble me in the slightest. And it was a good win in the end, wasn't it?
Mm. And Andrade, you mentioned there, you've been keeping an eye on him, and you think he's maybe getting a little bit old, or looks a little bit old. When did he come onto your radar? Because he's relatively new to the middleweight division. He was obviously a very good light middleweight, but never really got the fights. So is he someone that's been on your radar long?
To be honest, I don't really watch. Well, I haven't been watching lots of boxing, you know, that kind of way. He was light middleweight. He's not someone I've kind of tuned in and watched, but he signed with the Zone. He's speaking himself up well, saying he's the greatest middleweight, and he's calling out the names, and he's doing a good job of that. But I just don't see it, you know. I've seen him having a couple of close fights with guys that were in that like elite war level. Like, he had a couple of split decision wins. He's no doubt about it, he's a quality operator, technically very good, but I don't think he's going to be able for that kind of pressure, you know, that I'm going to bring. And he's in for a shock, I believe, you know.
Mm. And like, it's not uncommon, but there's talk of future fights, maybe not from him, but from his promoters and his management team. They're looking at, as you said, Canelo and these kind of guys. that complacency, do you think that's going to be borne out? Do you think he is overlooking you, and can that play to your advantage almost?
Definitely, yeah. Little things like that are going to balance the scale, say. Look, it'd be similar to, say, that Scottish fight that was offered to me. Even though I'm training hard, I'm in the camp, I'm probably at 80% mentally. Like, you have the odd cheat meal, and the names were sent to me for, say, that Scottish fight. And they were good names, and they are banana skins. And it's the same for Andrade. He's looking at me as nearly a headache having to defend against me again. He's talking about...
You're an inconvenience.
Yeah, I'm an inconvenience. Yeah. Like, and he's talking about the Charlo. Well, there's talk of the Charlo fight here and offered. He's looking at big money fights. And I'm just like, you have to defend against him to keep me belt. That's the way he's looking at me. And he can look at my record, it was patchy, but that probably gave him complacency as well. It probably stood to me having those couple of losses against Dorn in a way. Like, people can look at that and say, you know, like, he lost to a British level fighter. But I could have easily won them fights. I was part-time during that. I could be like a 20-0 fighter going in, and with a lot more like respect, if you get me. But I learned in them losses, and I think it's in my favour nearly. I think he is overlooking me. And
without giving the game plan away, are there weaknesses? Do you see anything in him that you can get at?
Yeah, we've working on some great stuff with P. You know, we've had some great southpaw sparring throughout the last 10 weeks, and everything is working. Like, he's a great tactician, P. Everything is working spot on. Like, I'm going to break his heart with educated pressure, you know. I've seen a couple of his fights. He had easy defences at middleweight, and no one actually tried to win. They were nearly happy with one attack and take a little step back and let him flick. You know, that kind of way. Like, it was no one actually tried to take the belt from him and put him in them grueling conditions that I'll be putting him into. So that's more or less the game plan that I give it away. But
we would have, obviously he was meant to fight Billy Joe Saunders, and when he signed with his own, it was to get more fights like that. And you can see that Eddie Hearn sees something in him, but he's trying to get it out of him, and we haven't seen that yet. And that's what I'm going to be interested to see, that, you know, if you go at him from the first bell, how he'll react. Because, as you said, the other fighters we've seen him against, Seletsky and Kadendauka.
Yeah.
So they didn't really trouble him. Also, what's the feeling going over to America your first time?
I'm just relishing it again. Yeah. Like, I said to people, there's no pressure on me, so I'm just relishing this. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
So we're going over, like, it's a dream come true for me. But I'm going over to win this fight. Yeah. Like, the camp I'm at on him was amazing. Like, going to America is just, like, it's another venue. It's just another place.
Is there many people going over with you?
Yeah, there's surprisingly, there's, like, at the order tickets, you couldn't buy them online for some reason in America. So there's 50 or 60 tickets I ordered. Then there's guys I worked with are working in America, and I actually was in Texas for 3 months. There's guys that I work with in Texas coming down, so to be good support of an uncle that actually lives in Miami. He's living over there, so he's bringing a few down. So you'd be surprised, you know. There's a few Irish people there.
Yeah. A weekend away in Miami sounds good.
Yeah,
at the end of January.
Better than Belfast, really. Yeah.
Are you a big NFL fan or American football fan?
No. Like, I might get invited, you know.
The fact that it's actually really clever from DAZN, because they're a new brand. They're trying to get themselves exposure, and to have this fight in Miami on Super Bowl week is actually really clever, because all the media will be there. And there will be a lot of attention on the city, so it's just it's a good idea from their point of view. In terms of Andrade, and we've spoken to Andy Lee about this, like, when you're in a fight and you're at a certain gear and the fight's not going the way you expected it to go, it's difficult to go through the gears. So that'd be my question around him. The talent's obviously there, but he's never been inclined or has never been required to go through those gears, and this could be the first time he has to do it, and he might come unstuck. So he's someone we've been following a lot, Andrade.
Every time we watch him fight and we give it the build-up, and then afterwards when we analyse it, we just come away thinking it was pretty disappointing. You know, this guy's a world champion, and, you know, you're not blown away by it. In terms of his style, southpaw, what kind of track record have you got against southpaws?
Yeah, like, well, I haven't fought many southpaws, but the whole camp has been great southpaw sparring. He's an orthodox, isn't he? Kind of. I think his attitude is just to do enough to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just does enough to win. He won't actually exert himself. So it is a question mark, as you said. I don't think he'll do enough in camp. Like, I think he's a lazy fighter. I think he genuinely believes in his hype as well. You know, I think he's a bit deluded in that way, that he thinks he can just turn up and just turn it on and nick the rounds again, like a Selecki fight, but I don't see it happening, you know.
Yeah, and just elsewhere in the middleweight division, we should mention former stablemate of yours, Spike O'Sullivan, had a fight at the weekend, himself at middleweight, and Jaime Munguia moving up for his first fight. And Spike gave him a good test. It was a difficult entry to the middleweight division for Munguia.
It's a strange fight that Munguia obviously got done. He got a point docked for low blows. It was as early as the second round he was warned. So he gets docked the point, then the following round lands another low blow, but the referee seemed to be giving Spike O'Sullivan the hurry up to say, like, you know, get on, which I thought was strange. And then the commentary team came back, or with comment from one of the officials saying it wasn't a deliberate low blow, so that's why there wasn't a point docked. But the point that was docked wasn't a deliberate low blow. Not many low blows are deliberate unless you're someone like Andrew Galata, where you just want to knock someone out with low blows. Like, but I found that was strange. But yeah, kind of the first half of the fight, Spike was doing all right. But I think Munguia, like, his corner were just constantly on him, just use the jab, and he just didn't. So as the fight went on, he got it. And I think even before Packie threw the towel in, you could tell even at the start, just in between 10 and 11, that Packie was almost looking for Spike to say to him, look, I think I'm done here. But Spike, he wouldn't do that.
They seem to be having some very real conversations in the corner to that point. It was like almost less about tactics, more about what they want to do here, which is interesting. You don't really hear that much. And Spike's always going to back himself because he's got that, like, home run shot, like he can probably knock anyone out with one punch, and he did rock Munguia a couple of times.
End of the third, definitely. But do you know what? It was important for Spike, big fight, that, you know, he kind of came out of it with his reputation enhanced after what had happened in the Lemieux fight, where
definitely came out with pride, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And he said he's going to get Golden Boy will give him a world title shot, probably at light middleweight. Yeah.
Is he a fully fledged middleweight, Luke?
Not at all, no. He's like comfortable at light middle, you know. That's the thing with Spike. He performed. Munguia would have been massive. Like, he would have been similar to probably Lemieux getting in the ring, like 15, say 17, 18 pound heavier than Spike. So he's at a huge disadvantage. You don't realise that disadvantage. Look, I rehydrate 14, 15 pound, between 14 and 16 pound, and every fighter's doing that. So Spike is coming in at middleweight, probably under the weight, like forcing calories into himself. He doesn't have the size for middleweight. He gave a great account when he considered he was probably outweighed a stone. You know, so he can. I can see him doing damage at light middleweight. You know, touch wood, he gets a chance again.
Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, he'll get another chance. He said he'd take a little bit of time out. He's 35, so maybe one more crack at a world title.
It kind of speaks to his quality that he's holding his own at a weight outside his natural weight, and also, like, you look at his 4 defeats, there's no shame in any of those guys. All former world champions or went on to be world champions, so kind of to that end. And like Luke, he hasn't been, it's not as if he's been in loads of slugfest, grueling fights. That was one of the first ones where you're like, he took there was a bit of give and take in that fight, but he probably has a couple more good fights in him, so it'll be interesting to see if they can manoeuvre him into a good position.
I would have liked to see him at light middleweight sooner, you know?
Yeah.
Because he was always, I felt he was always like a small middleweight, you know? But he has that punch, he has that right hand. It'd be interesting to see at light middle what he does, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And another Irish middleweight prospect who I think you were sparring in recent weeks, Jason Quigley, is back again next week. Jason, how's that sparring go? Is that of any?
Good, yeah, it was a good spar, yeah. It was entertaining. There was a bit of talking in it and stuff, you know. It was a good spar. There was actually a bit of a crowd and there was a bit of talking. And actually, I think a friend of mine has a clip of it. It's funny. He's talking back, like, and that was funny. We had a bit of a go at each other, you know.
Oh yeah.
But we're friendly, you know. It was all in good spirits, you know. So
you would have mixed it a bit in the amateurs as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he beat me twice in the amateurs. Yeah. So he came down to where gym and with a good spar, you know. So he's in good form, you know. I think it's a nice move from, like, he spoke about America, the big lights, and everyone thinks it's great, but there's nothing better than being at home, you know, mentally and stuff.
He's moved to Dublin now as well.
Yeah, he's better off.
It'll be a good first title defence for you, yourself and Quigley, maybe a St. Patrick's Day
see
or
what
something.
happens, yeah. You know, I'd hopefully get a couple of big paydays and bow out then. But you never know. It's funny in a boxing. It could happen. And
we spoke about Andrade's complacency, but you'd only be human not to be sort of thinking yourself, like, winning that world title or visualisation. I know it's something we've spoken about before. Do you let those thoughts come into your head, or is it all about just the X's and O's of actually the fight itself?
When looking past Andrade, no, I let my mind wander and what could happen. Like the Munguia fight, I think he's WBO number 1, isn't he? He was made. That could be a big fight.
Liam Williams as well is in the mix there as well.
But because he was light middleweight champion, he goes ahead of I think Liam Williams was giving out about that.
That's
so
right.
Munguia,
yeah.
I think there's talk of Saunders and Canelo. I'm just running this through in my head, like saying this would be great, like the same card with Munguia, say, in Vegas. And then Canelo after that. Like, you have to dream, don't you?
Absolutely. Good luck to you trying to get a decision against Canelo in Vegas.
Yeah.
Just have to knock him out.
Yeah, we go for that.
Sounds good to me. Andy Lee is obviously on board with Jason Quigley, and he was, I think, training at Jeffrey's gym there yesterday, having flown from the Fury Wilder press conference. And I have to say there was a bit of doubt from me that this February 22nd date is something we've been talking about for a long time. But just given Fury obviously had that bad cut, Wilder's fought very recently, but they seem to be, they're nailed on for this date, touch wood. So what do you think, Luke? How's this one going to go? Fury says he's going to knock him out in the second round.
I don't see that happening now, but no, it's either obviously like if Fury's points win again, or a knockout for Wilder. If he lands, he's just a freak, isn't he? Like, I've never seen power like it.
Punch power.
Yeah, and I think Fury be fresher this time. He spoke about that himself. The fact that he came in after a layoff, I think he'd be a lot fresher. He has that belief as well. I think he can move around and outbox him for 12 rounds, you know?
Yeah, I think obviously, like, Wilder was an overwhelming favourite the last time just because of that, because Fury hadn't really fought any meaningful level of opposition in about 3 years. But this time, just looking at the odds, Fury's a slight favourite, so that's a huge change even.
Yeah, but he must... I don't know what his confidence levels would have been like going into the first fight, because there must have been doubt in his mind given how long he was out. So after that fight, he must have been... I think most people felt that he won the fight, even though he was knocked down twice, but he must have come out of that thinking, if I had another year or two now of decent sparring and, you know, looking after myself, I could definitely finish the job. And he's talking about getting the knockout because this is why he's changed trainer. He wants to sit down in the punches more. That would be some statement if he was the first one to not only beat Wilder but to stop him. That would be unbelievable.
And it's such a big fight to be going into with a change of trainer. It's something you've gone through, Luke, but to imagine fighting Wilder and then totally changing your philosophy.
Setup, yeah.
And then going, it's not as if he's taking a warm-up fight and then Wilder, he's jumping right in with the most dangerous man in the division. So there's a lot to navigate there, isn't there?
Yeah, I suppose you're right, you're spot on, but in terms of confidence, like, he has amazing confidence, doesn't he, even taking that first fight. So, and he spoke that he needs to be nailed down, so he's his own man, isn't he? I don't think that the coaching setup is going to affect him too much. I think he'd be probably, maybe he'd have more discipline. I don't know whether the last coach, they were too pally, you know. Maybe he might be pushed a bit more. The father wasn't happy, was he, with the coaching? I think that probably drove the decision, you know. Even though they did well together, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know. But the father came out and I think he still has a say, does he?
He definitely has his ear anyway. He'll be giving him advice. I'm not sure if he's there day to day, but he probably has the final word on a lot of this stuff.
Like, you remember with the first fight, and Freddie Roach was part of the team, and he said a few days after he was on US TV, and he felt that Wilder was there for the taking, especially after the 9th when Wilder went to finish Fury after putting him down, and he just seemed to run out of gas then. And there was a feeling Freddie Roach thought, this is the chance now, you can actually you can finish this fight, but he thought they were too cautious. So maybe that's it, that Fury wants to make sure if he has his foot down that he finishes the job. But yeah, it's going to creep up nice and quickly.
Yeah,
because I know you were saying it's a slow start of the year. Obviously we had Spike there, Luke's fighting at the end of the month, and then that heavyweight fight will be upon us in no time. So good start of the year.
Yeah, it'll come around very quickly. A few bits since we've last been on. Josh Taylor, who was probably the hottest free agent in boxing, and people weren't quite sure where he was going to end up, has signed with ESPN, and straight away we're looking at this unification with himself and Ramirez, so that's going to be class. But it's kind of, we've spoken so much about Josh Taylor's profile, and that felt like a breakout fight just before Christmas at the O2 on Sky Sports box office, and now he's nailed on to be a star in 2020.
Yeah, he's just keeps getting better and better, and it was a surprise when it was in the office one day and I just saw the press release from Cyclone came out, and then you were thinking, right, where's he going? So
that came out first before the MTK advisory thing, did it? Was the MTK advisory one first?
Cyclone, that's the first I saw of it, and then Top Rank, and then MTK, so the whole thing moved very quickly.
You're talking matter of minutes here.
Oh, was it? Yeah, sorry, yeah. I thought it came out and then
they probably all had them all typed up and they were just like, can I hit send yet? But yeah, he had a great year and he's brilliant to watch. So it's only natural that he's going to go. You'd imagine he's going to go over to America and show what he can do. Get some big paydays. And
it's a shame they couldn't agree to keep on the coaching role, or what was involved, or did he speak that? Like, it's a shame. And then, like, I don't know whether they wanted to stay on board as management and promotion deal, or he did kind of have to make a jump. Probably, like, if you're offered huge money elsewhere, like, it would have been nice to see him, to see no egos and say Shane continue on with him, because I think he was doing a great job, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he was doing an amazing job.
Shane's the loser in all this, isn't he? Unfortunately for him.
Because loyalty in boxing is something people talk about. It's not common, but yet fighters have to look after themselves. Like, if you're being offered more money with a certain company or a promotional company,
short career.
You have to take it.
You got to get in and out.
Yeah, it's a very short career. Barry McGuigan should know that himself, shouldn't he? Like, you have to set things aside. I don't know the ins and outs of it, so it's hard to comment, but it would have been nice if they could settle it and continue on, because I think he did a great job with him, Shane,
Yeah, no, even from a helicopter view, that would be my takeaway, that Shane McGuigan trained, Carl Frampton brought him all the way along, and Frampton had to leave that training camp at the 11th hour almost into the last couple of fights of his career. Granted, the Moore relationship seems to be going pretty well, but now Josh Taylor similarly, who, great talent as an amateur, but McGuigan brought him from a novice straight through and won a world title pretty seamlessly, and he was matched really hard. So yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Shane. Just the last few bits of news before we wrap up, Phil. Clarissa Shields got a win at the weekend.
Yeah, three weight world champion in 10 fights, quickest ever. Lomachenko did it in 12, but she was impressive. She obviously was trying to get the stoppage against Habazine, but put her down in the 6th. Very, very impressive performance. I've said it continuously on this podcast that it's harder to get people out in 2 minutes. If there were 3-minute rounds, it's easier to finish the job. But she just keeps coming down in weight. So I don't know how low she can go. But if you're looking for ideas for your walk on, check out Clarissa Shields. Yeah. Her walk on at the weekend. It was impressive. But I don't know what you've got in mind for Miami.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to stick with an Irish song. The Old Triangle, maybe.
I love it.
Yeah.
That'd be a great shout.
Yeah.
You should
I'm go too fancy though, but I know I love that. It kind of hits me, so it's what get you going, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know you were talking before.
People talking about remixes and you like this, and it's like, no, not into it.
Yeah. Did you fight with they played the wrong music?
Yeah, the last two in Belfast. I had I don't know, yeah, seems coincidence. I was slagging the guy Ian Ritchie of MTK about it. He got the flack for it, but
well, it didn't affect your performance anyway. So. No. 22nd, you're flying out. Are you going to be staying in Miami for the whole thing?
Yeah, we stay in near the venue hotel. It's just kind of let the body recover, make weight, and just perform, you know. My body's better than ever was. You're saying my body's changing, but me fat percentage is down, my muscle percentage is up. Like, I'm not putting in a serious camp. You'll see it again, even since the Arias fight, of just being on it in terms of my diet and on it in terms of my strength, and had no niggle. So you'll see an improvement again.
You look great on the beach in Miami as well. You won't look at a place.
Yeah. Shave the chest.
It's a great occasion, and you've earned it. You've done it the hard way. So we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully you can bring the belt in when you come back.
I definitely will. That's what I say. So touch wood, be back in with it.
And thanks to Phil as well, and thanks to producer Tom, who's sadly leaving us at the end of this month. He's going to making the move to Liverpool.
Yeah, is he going to be training over there?
I don't know. The Gallers gym's only up the road there, Tom. So thanks to everybody for tuning in as well. We'll be back next week.